This is the Astrology Show podcast with Jessica Adams.
Thanks, Shane. Here is your astrology and tarot for the week starting Monday, the 24th of June. Aries, well, you're now in Cancer season. This is a time of justified optimism within the family or where your household, hometown, apartment or country is concerned. As from June 2025 until June 2026, the biggest and best is possible. Jupiter is in Cancer from June 9, 2025 until June 29, 2026. So this week is a small stepping stone upon a much bigger pathway to something so much greater. And you may want to relocate or emigrate in 25-26. You may have ideas about renovating or redecorating. There may be a bigger yearning about your hometown or your homeland, which Cancer also rules. And we cannot leave out the extended family. So this is your household now or in the future, and all your relatives, as well as people around the immediate family circle, like godchildren or godparents. So whenever you get a week like this in astrology, you have the very, very smallest acorns before the acorns that you plant next year. You are allowed to dream bigger. The acorns that you plant now will become something really bankable upon in the second half of 2025. And by June 2026, you'll realize how right you were to use this week to plan for the future. Jupiter is about optimism, high hopes, growth, expansion, and 12-year solutions and opportunities. So no matter what things look like now, you are quite right to think about the future. Taurus, well, this Cancer weather begins to roll in your sector of the web and the media. And from June 2025, you are in a fantastic position with a website, a course, a book, a script, a podcast, or similar. All of this is now pooling in your horoscope for just 1 week. But by July 24, you will realize that you need to plan ahead for something so much bigger. And this action in the third house of your horoscope is not just restricted to the media or the web or your way with words, images, and ideas. It's also very much about your brother, your sister, your cousin, and or your neighbor. And what you're seeing now is the hint of something that is a sweeping solution or a really big opportunity by 2026. But nothing starts from nothing in astrology, and with Jupiter transits, you always have to do some life gardening. So that's what this week is about. You're planting something small to get bigger and better later on. No matter what the story is with a sibling or a cousin, a neighbor, a neighboring country, a neighboring region, your way with, for example, the media or the internet, everything is laid out for you in the future. And in many ways, this week, the future is calling to the present. Gemini, this Cancer Capricorn action in your chart across the finance, business, charity, and property zones will trigger a chain of decisions until the 7th of December 2024, when every last number is counted. But this goes beyond the numbers. It goes into personal relationships with your current or ex-partner, perhaps with a future partner. And it's very much about your brother, your sister, your parents, and the extended family. The reason for this is that Capricorn in your horoscope rules matters of a joint financial nature. It is where you have to actually hang a price tag, Gemini, on things that you cannot put numbers on. So it may be, for example, family loyalty, or the situation with an ex. This week tells you that, weirdly, you can go beyond the personal factors into the purely financial. And in fact, when Jupiter goes into Cancer in the second half of next year, 2025, and the first half of 2026, you stand to make or save a small fortune. That will make a tremendous difference to the judgments that you're making at the moment, even though you can't let the personal price tags go. Cancer, your personal appearance, reputation, profile, and public face is more important now because there are so many horoscope factors in Cancer, your own sign, in the first house of your solar chart, which rules your reputation and your portrait in the public eye. What will be a fleeting decision by July is actually so much more, as it preempts 2025 and 2026, when you will relaunch with a new title, qualifications, or a new look. The Sun in Cancer now means that your public face, your reputation, image, or appearance will be centre stage until July. This is not your ego, nor is it narcissism. It's just common sense. You are hearing the call of the future, and the future looks so bright, and yet nothing comes from nothing. So what happens in 25 and 2026, which is basically a relaunch on a grand scale, owes so much to your decisions over the next 7 days. Leo, late June into late July finds you hibernating, covering up secrets, or playing an important role behind the scenes. This is about religion, hypnosis, the tarot. It's about mediumship, meditation, therapy, self-help, and counselling. So it's solitary and it's private. Jupiter in Cancer in 2025 and 2026 is ahead. What happens this week is a nod to the future, and you will be thrilled with the results of your therapy, your inner work, your spiritual path, starting in the smallest way now. This is the sort of cycle when people join AA and give up alcohol. It's also the kind of cycle when you discover that you have mediumistic gifts. Everything that is private, unseen, invisible, and below the surface will start bubbling under this week. And if you know that you have factors in Pisces in your birth chart, you can double that message. In any case, whether you know, you don't know, or you don't have, you are still going to be involved in this weather in the 12th house of your chart, which is about what other people don't understand, cannot see, cannot fathom, but for you is so real, and it looks very good for the future. Virgo, late June and July 2024 now help you to sort out plans involving the group or groups plural, or to get a friendship at peak performance for you in 2025. What happens this week helps you set up Jupiter in Cancer from June 9, 2025 until June 29, 2026. The future is calling you, and it's very important, as people power within a group, for example, in a charity, a trade union, or a band, will change your life for the better. 25 to 26, it starts now, and a friendship is so much more. On this transit, which begins in the future but starts now, you will discover that a friend can be as important as a partner or a family member. Libra, your career course or unpaid work in July is all about affecting the process of change in 2025, 2026, when you could win an award, see a huge hit, gain a prestigious new job, or be accepted into a top university. Success, rank, and status are at a 12-year high starting next year, but this week is crucial. You will know if the project, the ambition, the role, or the goal is correct, because it's so obviously about next year or 2026 for final delivery. These transits in Cancer are at the top of your chart, which is where you aim for the top. Even though things at the moment are quite small and temporary, as in August they fade, later on you will realise that so much of your future success was owed to everything that you said and did this week. Scorpio. Well, this week you are looking at next year, and the focus is on interstate or overseas travel, foreigners and foreign places, regional differences, education, the internet, academia, and publishing. So the big picture. If your priority is foreigners and foreign countries, this week augurs well for a future boom. Jupiter, which is the planet of opportunity, expansion, and growth, will be in this sector of your chart from June 9, 2025 until June 29, 2026. It starts now in a small way. So a corner of the map, a particular accent or language is calling you. Sagittarius. Sirius is retrograde in your finance and property, charity and business zone. Yet from the 7th of December, you will sign off from endless deal making and compromises. This is the bargaining year, and its stop-start this week will show you what is to come. Now, Ceres is about how the control is shared. She is stop-start all year, as I've mentioned, and so are you, with the other person or the other people, but by Christmas, you should have real power. This week nods to the future, and it looks good for you in terms of saving or making money from June 9, 2025 until June 29, 2026 in your zone of shared finance. None of this is a shock. None of it lands in your lap from nowhere. It begins in the smallest way this week, Sagittarius. Capricorn. Your former, current, or potential partner is in the spotlight, or your great enemy or rival. This may be your husband or your ex-wife. It may be a professional competitor. The fading Capricorn Cancer weather is out of the way from the 7th of December at the end of this year. And with this person, or even without them, it is a new world in 2025 and 2026. Jupiter, with all his solutions for you, with the duet or the duel, is in Cancer from June 9, 2025 until June 29, 2026, and it's foreshadowed this week. So this week may begin the conversation that starts the changes next year. The 7th house of your chart, where we find Cancer in rulership, is about dating, mating, and relating, but also separating. And it really depends on what you've done with your life to date. If you have anything in Libra in your natal chart, then this is karmic. And in January 2025, you two will sign off with real closure. Aquarius, this week nods to the future. The old way of working, living, and looking after yourself is history in 25 and 26, when you will enjoy the biggest and best lifestyle changes in 12 years. But even now, just for this week, your working life and your relationship with your body is a major talking point for you, employers, staff, your doctor, health insurance, and so on. What you're really looking forward to and what you're building in the smallest way now is Jupiter in Cancer from June 9, 2025 until June 29, 2026 in the 6th house of your chart. This is a turning point for you, and you will discover that there is so much more in terms of your opportunities and your options with your overall lifestyle. So it's not just about your work ethic, it's also about your duty and service to your own health on every level. This week begins the begin. Pisces. Well, it's Cancer weather now, or Cancer season if you prefer, and the focus is on children, godchildren, young relatives, and the next generation as a whole. A new arrangement with or for younger people will be firmly in place by July, and that includes pregnancy, the ultimate younger person. If you are child-free, then it is your relationship with your extended family of younger relatives, a youth project, or perhaps a parenthood potential lover, which will reshape everything. This week is about the future. From June 9, 2025 until June 29, 2026, and the conversations that you have about, for example, your son or a younger generation as a whole will nod to something so fantastic that begins to expand and reward you from June 25 to June 26. In your birth chart this week, if you have Pisces factors, then you are well and truly triggered as Saturn turns retrograde in Pisces on the 29th of June in your 12th house, ruled by Pisces, and that's religion, the tarot, therapy, psychics, Buddhism, mediumship, self-help, dreams, counselling, and solitude in general. The process of endless reality checks is not over. If you do have Pisces factors, as Saturn, the symbol of the real world, goes backwards, from the 29th of June, you are now required to also turn backwards with him to get real. Your tarot card this week can be decoded at jessicaadams.com. Aries, the Four of Wands. Taurus, the Three of Wands. Gemini, the Three of Pentacles. Cancer, the Queen of Wands. Leo, the Magician. Virgo, the Three of Cups. Libra, the Emperor. Scorpio, the Ace of Wands. Sagittarius, the Four of Coins. Capricorn, the Lovers. Aquarius, Temperance. And Pisces, the Two of Cups. Fated connections this week are Pisces and Capricorn, who can afford to be more optimistic about the children, the marriage, or the relationship. And happy birthday to Tim Finn, who is 72 on the 25th of June. Mick Jones is 69 on the 26th of June, and Andy Scott is 75 on the 30th of June. And top marks if you recognise Andy Scott from The Suite. Famously, are you ready, Steve and Andy? If it's your birthday, then happy birthday. A major rethink about your banking will land in January and February 2025 when you hang a price tag on control. Babies born this week are psychic and may have telepathic communication with a brother, sister, or cousin. And so to the big weather changes this week. Saturn turns retrograde in Pisces on the 29th of June. So it's time to look at Saturn and what that means for you. Basically, this is about everything going backwards for more than you wanted in one area of your life. If you do have Pisces factors, as I've mentioned, it's going to be about religion, spirituality, therapy or counselling. It may be about the tarot, psychics, spiritualism, or meditation. Pisces in your natal chart rules your inner life, and what is invisible to other people is very real to you and just as important as anything else. However, only you with Pisces factors could really understand it. What you're up for now is a few weeks, maybe a few months, depending on your personal chart, where you have to go back to the drawing board. The struggles that you have had, for example, a challenge to your faith, will be back as Saturn goes retrograde. You may also be dealing with the rather confusing and confused world of your own inner life. Learning as you go and giving yourself time is a good idea. People that you know around you who are heavily religious, spiritual, psychic, or very much involved with psychology or psychiatry are also going to be affected by this retrograde. So July and August remind everybody that more time and space is required, as there were never going to be quick or easy answers. It is a process, and it doesn't matter if you are converting to Catholicism or involved in a therapy group. Everything that Pisces rules can be felt on the inside and sometimes seen on the outside, but it does take time. Respect for other people's inner process is a huge part of what this week is all about. This may be people in your extended family and friendship circle or people at work. But whatever is going on the inside, Pisces is very much in charge. And it's been 29 years since Saturn has been in this sign, so his retrograde or backward motion is a very big deal. In fact, for a lot of people that you know, and perhaps for yourself, it is life-changing. Everybody does come out the other side in the year 2025, but for now, it's time to understand that these things take time. If you were born under the sign of Aries, then this is personal for you. And you can double that message if you have factors also in Pisces in your natal chart. If you're born under the sign of Taurus, then it's about your friends and your groups. So it doesn't take too much to see in news headlines a couple of Taurus players, Mr. Tony Blair and Mr. Rishi Sunak, all across the UK election, all dealing with the realities of their political parties. On the one hand, we have the Labour Party, on the other hand, the Conservative Party, but both Taurus men are dealing with Saturn retrograde in their zone of groups and friends. This is a learning experience for every Taurian, and it doesn't really matter what your group is. It may be a band, it may be a yoga class. If you're born in Gemini, then for you, this Saturn retrograde is in your sector of career, ambition, position and mission, your academic career, your status and rank, and your unpaid work. And you also have to give yourself time to process what cannot be avoided or evaded. For every single sign of the zodiac, Saturn is the planet that comes with barriers, barricades, obstacles, and borders. And one look at the telescope and you understand why. This planet has rings around it. So there are always situations now for Gemini, with you it's your career, where you cannot get out and you cannot get in so easily. So for example, it may be hard to escape from a job that you took, or it may be very difficult for you to get into a field that you find inaccessible. The situation turns backwards as June comes to a close, but for Geminis in particular, it's time to accept a waiting game. If you're a Cancerian, then this whole cycle is about foreigners and foreign countries. It's about academia, the World Wide Web, and also anybody or anything that speaks to you about the bigger, wider world. Trying to rush things is not a good idea on Saturn retrograde. And if you are still playing the long game with a different nationality, country, or culture, the long game continues. If you're a Leo, then this is about money, property, business, charity. It is about assets like a mortgage or, for example, an inheritance. And Saturn is always about playing the long game. So if you have been waiting for an outcome, you now have to see the process reverse. But along the way, you also find out who and what is most valuable to you, and it can often go far beyond money. If you're a Virgo, it's squarely about your husband or wife, your boyfriend or girlfriend, maybe your ex. It's about a professional partner. Those of you who are more engaged with a battle or a feud or a lawsuit will find it's about the other side. This is the transit that we see with the scales of Libra in the balance. And so there may be legal issues for you, in which case they take time. Even if the issue is equality, fairness, and justice on a natural level, with Saturn retrograde, you have to understand that it's not going to be cleaned up by July. It will take longer. If you're a Libran and you are ruled by the scales, then this transit is in your sector of work, health, and well-being, your sector of service and duty. So it is time to remind yourself that your first duty is to your own health and well-being. And although you do have to serve other people, you cannot serve them unless you serve yourself. As we go through the horoscope and go to Scorpio, we find Saturn retrograde in Pisces, another water sign. And for you, this is an odd mixture of flow and blockage. You also have Neptune in Pisces as well. So all year, and actually next year too, it's stop-start with the most emotional matters, as this is what water rules. These things are hard to put into words. They are felt more than articulated, but it probably does involve your son or daughter, the bedroom, courtship, or the world of children. Joe Biden, the president of the US, is going through this with his own son at the moment. If you're a Sagittarian, then this is essentially about your property and your family, your house or apartment, your real estate investment, and your extended clan of relatives. And again, it's stop-start. Right now, you're going backwards with all sorts of obstacles and parameters and limits and barriers and borders, and later on you'll go forwards. You can be as rich as Taylor Swift, who is a Sagittarian like you, and still have it. So she owns a number of properties in New York, but they're always pulling her up on the state of the sidewalk outside. If you're a Capricorn, then this transit is about the internet, fully fair and square. And it may be also about your brother, sister, cousin, or neighbour online. Having dealt with all sorts of obstacles, you now find that they're back, but that's okay because every time you take them, you feel as if you're coming into your own because, in fact, Saturn is your ruler. If you're an Aquarian, then this transit is about your money, your property, your business, your charity, your valuables, and it's been going on for so long now that you're almost used to the weird combination of escaping from the real world and then being asked to observe it. Right now, Saturn is back retrograde, and so this is real world with a capital R and W. You can only escape for so long, and it looks very much as if July or August will find you going back to what already happened. So you will be recalculating the numbers that you thought you'd finished with. And finally, if you're a Pisces, Saturn retrograde in your own sign is about matters of presentation and packaging. Your reputation and your personal appearance in your portrait, on YouTube, and in your photographs online. You may have thought that you'd done all the learning, but the learning has not finished with you, as Saturn is about a life education. And when retrograde, you have to go backwards in order to go forwards. So give yourself some time to learn more about how you present. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back with you next week.